Join our community by subscribing. Every click helps us share more stories like this one.
The introduction. In the dim light of a Pennsylvania autumn evening, the smell of decaying leaves clung heavily to the air. Squinting against the fading sky, Officer Tiffany Greene walked the familiar pain-streaked path into Maple Grove Cemetery. Her heart drummed an unsteady cadence in her chest as she made her way to the public records office, an unscripted visit fueling her apprehension for the night ahead. This cemetery, with its sagging tombstones and perforated earth, had witnessed countless farewells. Yet, it was the unfinished business haunting its perimeter that brought Officer Greene here today. The call had come in just before dusk. A neighboring resident had claimed to hear a faint wail emanating from the cemetery's edges. It was not the first time strange sounds had echoed in the cool night air, but this time, something felt different. Reports of missing persons had grown unsettlingly frequent over recent months, and Officer Greene could sense a chilling correlation lurking just outside the pale moonlight. As she entered the aged building housing the cemetery's records, the musty scent of old paper enveloped her. Scribbled notes adorned the ledgers, chronicling the final resting places of the departed. A flickering bulb overhead cast jittery shadows across the room, amplifying the tension in her chest. While the public records hadn't changed much over the last few decades, it was the information that lay beneath the ink that fascinated her. Someone had been taken, and it was time to unveil the secrets hidden beneath the surface. Glancing at the aging headstones lined outside, she could almost hear the whispers of the past, beckoning her. With every unanswered question, a new mystery bore down around her, echoing through the autumn haze. The investigation had begun before she understood its significance, an unsettling prelude to the darkness that awaited her. The victim. As Officer Greene delved into the records, a name on the dusty ledger stood out like a beacon. Sarah Miller. The stark contrast of her youth against the age-old tombstones was jarring. At just 23, Sarah had vanished nearly 4 months ago, sending ripples of anxiety through the small town of Bellewood. Officer Greene gently traced her fingers over the paper, feeling the weight of each letter as it whispered its tragic story. Sarah was known for her warm smile and infectious laughter. A vibrant spirit that embraced life with both hands. She worked part-time at the local coffee shop, where she had befriended a cast of regulars who had quickly turned into family. Her disappearance had sparked concern in the community. Friends held vigils, plastered posters throughout town, and implored anyone with information to come forward. Each invitation hung heavy with unfulfilled promises and unanswered prayer. As Greene read through the police reports, she unearthed the chaos surrounding the initial investigation. Friends recalled the last time they saw Sarah at a bonfire, silhouetted by flames, sharing stories beneath a blanket of stars. Those same friends noted her sudden, mysterious departure from the gathering to take a phone call. Several were left bewildered by the change in her demeanor that evening, a shadow flitting across her face as she stepped away, momentarily shrouded by the darkness of the trees. With every detail, the pieces of the puzzle began to form, but they remained obscured. Witnesses mentioned a blue pickup truck parked suspiciously nearby, a figure who lingered, eyes cast too long. Greene knew in her gut that Sarah's story was entwined with something deeper, an eerie specter wrapped within the town, waiting for someone courageous enough to peel back its layers. It was time for Officer Greene to reclaim the truth buried within the shadows. The answers awaited her in the chilling echoes of the night. The crime scene With the sun surrendered to the horizon, Officer Greene arrived at the old Maple Grove Cemetery. Now cloaked in an unsettling stillness, an officer's intuition tugged at her core, a nagging feeling that uncovered truths waited just beneath the surface. The faint glow of flashlights danced among the headstones, illuminating the figures of forensic teams, eager yet hesitant to sift through the remains of a past that had long been buried. Rena approached the scene, her heart racing as she caught sight of the outlines created by strategically placed evidence markers littered throughout the grass. Officers moved with purpose, their breath visible in the crisp air, each step forward sinking deeper into the mystery. In a secluded corner of the cemetery, the earth appeared freshly disturbed, unnatural mounds rising like a dark crown amidst the aging stone. As she crouched near one of the markers, her gaze fell on a strap of fabric caught on a thorny brambly, a delicate piece, dusty blue with intricate floral embroidery. Greene's breath hitched. It matched the pattern of a dress Sarah was known to wear. Shortly afterward, the crime scene investigator gingerly unearthed several personal items: a necklace, an old cell phone, and a wristwatch, each moment echoing the heart-wrenching finality of loss. The investigator ran her hands through the soil, almost reverently, before announcing she'd uncovered something more ominous. A wrist, cold and pale, remained bound by sleek metal cuffs, intertwined beneath the earth. The visceral tang of reality struck Greene like an electric jolt. This was no mere search for a missing person. It was an unraveling nightmare, a cry buried within despair. The cemetery seemed to hold its breath, the trees whispering secrets around them as they excavated commitment and tread. In that moment, Greene understood the weight of her responsibility. She was walking the sharp edge of truth and darkness, and for Sarah Miller, few could be willing to venture into the depths. The investigation had shifted gears, transforming into a race against time to uncover a killer shrouded in shadows. The town of Bellewood would never be the same again. Noir, Wati, how, oh, day, of de, bees. The early investigation. As the sun crested the horizon, its warm rays struggled to break through the heavy fog lingering over Bellewood. Inside the station, Officer Greene gathered with her colleagues, anticipation hanging thick in the air. They'd barely scratched the surface of investigating Sarah Miller's disappearance. But now, with the recent discovery, they had the urgent momentum needed to press forward. The conference room buzzed with murmurs as photographs of Sarah were pinned on a bulletin board. Her timeline bristled with sticky notes and red strain, intertwining her final hours with the names of her friends and acquaintances. Officer Greene spearheaded the effort to piece it all together. "We need to focus on who Sarah was last with at that bonfire," she said, meeting each gaze around the table. "Someone has to know or have seen something." Within hours, the team rounded up Sarah's friends to conduct interviews, setting a careful tone to elicit both emotion and information. The knot in Greene's stomach tightened as she recalled the broken expressions, glistening with bewilderment, and sorrowed well-meaning acquaintances, struggling to understand how their world had fractured inside. Jenny, one of Sarah's closest friends, broke down as she recounted the last minutes before Sarah vanished. "She was on the phone, but I couldn't hear what she was saying. I just remember her face distant, like she was already somewhere else." The detail stood out, revealing a troubling question. Who was on the other end of the line? As the team sifted through previous leads, Greene recalled the suspicious blue pickup truck mentioned in earlier reports. They quickly dispatched officers to canvass the area where the vehicle had been parked, hoping to find anyone who might have noticed its driver lingering. Meanwhile, the forensic team analyzed Sarah's belongings. Each item could hold fragments of the truth, fingerprints, even traces of something sinister potentially unlocking the whereabouts of a young woman, whose laughter had echoed too brightly for the darkness now closing in. Greene felt her resolve strengthen. She would not rest until every stone was turned, every voice was heard, and the truth behind Sarah's disappearance was clawed from the shadows. The dead ends. Days turned into restless weeks as Officer Greene and her team grappled with the weight of dwindling leads. The investigation felt like a vortex, pulling them deeper into confusion, where every point of inquiry only threatened to detour further. Each lead danced tantalizingly close to clarity, only to slip through their fingers like grains of sand. In his small, cluttered office, Greene hunched over her desk, surrounded by case, files, and photographs of Sarah. The once hopeful chatter of the precinct had faded into a low murmur of defeated voices. As she flipped through note cards detailing the interviews with Sarah's friends, a chilling sense of déjà vu washed over her. Over and over again they recounted recollections of their last night together, yet none offered anything substantial. A missing call from Sarah's mysterious contact, a brief encounter with the blue truck driver, or a shadow near the tree. But whispers faded into memory, alibis blurred beyond recognition. Driven by desperation, Greene decided to retrace Sarah's last known movements, visiting the coffee shop where she had worked, asking if any security footage might exist. The shop owner, a once jovial woman, now wore the pallor of grief. "I wish I could help, but we only keep the footage for 2 weeks," she said, frustration pooling in her voice. It was an all-too-common refrain. The ticking clock now echoed with injuries of forgotten timeline. With no exterior leads to pursue, Greene found herself scrutinizing past records for unexplained correlations. What if this tragedy was not an isolated event? As her eyes swept through lists of past disappearances, she noted a peculiar name, Rachel Dean, a 24-year-old who had vanished 2 years prior, eerily under similar circumstances. But each thread she pulled yielded nothing but barren ground. As the weight of dead ends bore down, paranoia tugged at her. Were they pursuing the wrong suspect? Greene's resolve wavered. Yet she steeled herself, reminding herself that each false trail could bring her a step closer to the true story and eventuality that might lie hidden in the very uncertainty that encased them. In a case woven with despair, she knew that hope remained, a flicker of light turning into a fire that demanded to be kindled once more. The dark shadows of the unknown would eventually yield their secrets if only one could bear to ask the right questions. A break in the case. The tension in Officer Greene's office reached an unbearable pitch as the days dragged on, suffocating any remnants of optimism. Yet, just when she felt ready to succumb to the overwhelming fatigue, a flicker of hope ignited the dimly lit space. It began with a phone call from the crime lab that shifted the narrative entirely. "Greene, we found something on Sarah's cell phone," the forensic analyst relayed, excitement lacing his voice. "We managed to extract voicemail data that may not have been deleted." Greene swung her chair toward the stack of case file folders, scrambling to retrieve Sarah's personal items. The phone, a small harbinger of both despair and possibility, lay there, its screen cracked but containing untold stories. Rushing to the lab, Greene found the atmosphere charged with anticipation. The analyst pulled up the voicemail screen, revealing a single time-stamped message lodged between routine banter and awkward silence. As the recording played, static crackled to life, mixing with an ominous urgency. "Sarah, where are you? You need to come home. I saw someone lurking." The message cut off abruptly, and Greene's heart raced. There were no contacts listed, no identifiers, just a haunting plea echoing from the ether. "Do we know who it's from?" Greene asked, her pulse quickening. "We tracked the number to a disposable phone bought at a gas station," the analyst replied, his brows knitted. "It's a dead end, but it might have been used the night she disappeared. We can't be sure." Back at the station, Greene organized a new approach, focusing on surveillance footage from the gas station and nearby areas that might have caught someone using that phone. She needed to piece together every possible site, and timelines had to align, shrouds of anonymity dismantled. While the team worked to acquire footage from neighboring establishments, an officer burst into the room. "There's a report of a sighting. Someone spotted a blue pickup truck late at night near the cemetery." Greene felt a renewed surge of adrenaline surge through her veins as her heart surged with the chase. As data converged and pieces began fitting together, the haunting essence of the case became ever clearer. With newfound momentum, Greene gathered her team, their shared determination illuminating the dark corners where despair had once thrived. The shadows were lifting, and the hunt for Sarah's truth was reigniting. Now she could almost taste justice, or whatever it would take to heal a broken community. The suspect. The investigation had taken a decisive turn, momentum surging through the precinct as Greene delved deeper into the mystery surrounding Sarah Miller's disappearance. The blue pickup truck became an inescapable focal point, its presence lingering like a specter throughout the case. Information surfaced regarding a man, Derek Tanaka, a transient, who had recently moved back to Bellewood after years away. His name sent icy ripples throughout the precinct. Local lore painted him as reclusive, a character known for his erratic behavior and past run-ins with the law. Greene's pulse quickened when she uncovered an arrest report detailing his connection to a string of petty thefts and disturbing allegations related to stalking. On Alaux-Roy, the behavioral patterns were eerily consistent with someone who may prey on vulnerable individuals. As she dug deeper into Tanaka's history, Greene scoured through witness statements that painted a troubling picture. Several locals claimed that they had seen him lurking around young women, though none had reported him definitively. Coupled with the sighting of a blue pickup truck leaving the scene of the bonfire on the night Sarah disappeared, she felt the walls closing in around Tanaka. Greene coordinated a stakeout, along with her partner, Officer Martinez, to monitor his movements. The last known address listed for him was dilapidated, unkempt residence at the town's edge. Squatting on a rickety porch, Greene and Martinez waited under the cover of twilight, the air thick with unease. They watched as shadows stretched, shifting like phantoms in the dim light. After a few long hours, just as hope began to wane, headlights cut through the gloom. A blue pickup truck grumbled onto the street. Derek Tanaka exited, his demeanor matching the town's unsettling whispers. Greene's heart raced as she motioned to Martinez. They would move in, beginning the delicate dance of inquiry. No longer were they merely searching for answers. The time had come to confront the person who loomed large in the heart of their investigation. Greene stepped from the shadows, the chilly night air swirling with her determination. She had come too far to shy away now. "Eric Tanaka," she called, her voice firm but resolute. The man turned, recognition faltering across his features. "We need to talk." As tension crackled in the night, Greene prepared for the storm that awaited. It lingered in the depths of his sunken eyes, a world of untold stories waiting to be revealed. In that moment, the web of deceit began to unfurl, and soon, they would learn whether Tanaka was a mere pawn, or if he held the secrets that lay buried within the past. The trial. Months of investigation culminated in a small courtroom packed to the seams, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. The community of Bellewood had rallied in support of Sarah Miller's family, each person carrying the burden of lost their faces, its with a shared grief that could only be transformed into resilience. The trial of Eric Tanaka was set to begin, and justice hung in the balance. As the proceedings commenced, Greene took her place among the spectators, the weight of the case pressing heavily upon her. She had poured every ounce of herself into uncovering the truth. The sight of Sarah's family in the front row, their eyes swollen with emotion, ignited a fierce determination within her. They deserved closure, and she had to confront the man who had disrupted their lives so brutally. Prosecution laid out their case with methodical precision, painting Tanaka as a volatile figure whose history of shadowy encounters hinted at an unresolved dark. They presented the evidence, a combination of surveillance footage, capturing the blue pickup truck, the voicemail revealing Sarah's distress, and Tanaka's history of troubling behavior. Greene marveled at the unfolding narrative, a symphony of facts brushing against the emotional canvases of each juror. Then came the defense, which sought to dismantle the prosecution's narrative. Tanaka's attorney clung to shadows of doubt, deflecting assertion by claiming reasonable suspicion. They contended their client had merely been in the wrong place at the wrong time, a scapegoat for a community desperate to settle its unanswered fears. Greene clenched her fists, feeling the air shift as echoes of uncertainty rattled the room. As witnesses took the stand, including Sarah's friends, Greene listened intently, absorbing their pain and strength. Their words, like talismans of memory in the court, their testimonies morphed into fragile mosaics of the truth, bringing pieces of Sarah to life. A defining moment came as Jenny stepped forward. Her voice trembled yet resolute. She was scared, and we didn't get to help her in time. We saw the signs. We should have done more. In that moment of vulnerability, Greene felt the weight of every unanswered question, and every sleepless night, hanging suspended in the air. As the trial neared its conclusion, the jury faced the task of sifting through layers of complex truths. The verdict seemed to rest not just on the evidence presented, but in the hearts of those who had once known Sarah. When the jury returned, breathless tension rippled through the courtroom. Silence fell as the foreperson delivered the verdict guilty. A shudder coursed through the gallery as tears fell like fragile raindrops from Sarah's family's cheeks. Relief flooded Officer Greene's chest. In that moment, justice's fragile chord struck, resonating through the lives forever changed by tragedy. As the court adjourned, Greene glanced toward the family, a shared understanding passing between theme and acknowledgement that while justice had been served, the road ahead would be long. The healing process could finally begin, stitched together through the collective memory of a laughter lost but never forgotten. The aftermath. The air in Bellewood carried a new weight as the verdict settled like sediment at the bottom of a still lake. The trial had ended, but the scars left on the community remained fresh. Wounds that would take time and perhaps generations to heal. Officer Greene wandered through the streets. The familiar passers-by now cloaked in a quiet solemnity. The chatter that once filled the coffee shop where Sarah had worked felt muted, reverberating with an unspoken understanding among those who occupied the small-town landscape. In the weeks following the conviction, the town held a memorial service in Sarah's honor, gathering at the same park where friends once celebrated her laughter under the stars. Greene stood at the edge of the crowd, watching as each person took their turn lighting a candle, a flicker of hope against the dark. Her heart ached for those who lost so much, who had grappled with the haunting specter of unresolved sadness. She had pursued the truth relentlessly, yet it felt inadequate in the face of such profound loss. As the flickering flames illuminated the faces around her, Greene was approached by Jenny, Sarah's closest friend. Her eyes were red from tears, yet there was a spark of determination that emanated from her. "Thank you for not giving up on her," she whispered, voice catching with emotion. "You brought her home. He can finally breathe again." In that moment, Greene felt a surge of warmth entwined with sadness. She had fought, not just for Sarah, but for everyone who loved her. But the weight of ambition carried its toll. Greene found herself lingering late at the precinct, drowning in the details and the echoes of a case that stretched far beyond her. Nights blurred into mornings, and every casualty of pressing time haunted her. What could she have done differently? The walls whispered stories of a town in distress, begging to recognize the light that still flickered in the dark corner, determined not to let the aftermath foster shadows. Greene took her experience and became a catalyst for change within the community. She facilitated workshops to educate young adults about safety awareness, emphasizing the importance of speaking up and the strength found in solidarity. As the seasons shifted, replacing autumn's decay with the vibrant hues of spring, Greene began to see a new light growing in Bellewood, forged from recovery, resilience, and hope. It reflected back at her in the smiling faces of those she had fought for, igniting a collective strength that transcended fear. Though the journey to healing was fraught with uncertainty, Greene embraced her role as a guardian of stories left untold, a whisper to remind them that shadows could only exist where light was also present. While Sarah's absence remained a chasm in the fabric of their lives, Greene knew that in acknowledging their shared grief, they could create new beginnings woven together through the strands of resilient hope. Reflection. In the quiet moments of stillness, Officer Greene found herself revisiting the corridors of her mind, replaying the haunting memories of the case that had gripped Bellewood. Reflection became both a refuge and a weight. She often returned to the final memory of Seraphy laughter, the warmth moments forever at odds with the tragedy that had unfolded. Sitting in her car, overlooking the cemetery where Sarah now rested, Greene allowed herself to breathe deeply. Each exhale felt like letting go of an unyielding burden, yet within it, a voice whispered, urging her to retain the urgency for truth that had propelled her through the darkest corners of humanity. The shadows might flicker, but they could not erase the vibrancy of life once lived. Greene pondered the lessons learned not only in her dedication to justice, but in the bond formed between those she served. The scars of grief remained, but they were now also marked by resilience. The community had grasped the threads of their shared experience and woven them into a fabric stronger than individual losses.